All right, Mark, this is the piece of wood you gave me, and I cut it, but you can see that it's got some wormholes, and it's got a nice crack right there. Same on the other side, wormhole, wormhole. What I'm afraid is that there might be some in the middle that I can't see. I am gonna fill it with resin. I should be able to get 2 pens, 1 and probably 2 to there. No promises, but I will, I'll do my best. So I'm gonna stabilize this in stabilizing resin. Hopefully that will help, but who knows. All right, I've drilled them both out. It's, well, as you can see, we've got some issues. So I put them in stabilizing resin after I put them here in the toaster oven for a little bit to make sure they're good and dry. We will see what happens. Not sure what kind of wood this is, but it is a smoky mess. And it smells quite funny as well. Anyway, let's put it in the resin and see what happens.
Vacuum is sucking all the air out of the wood. So once the bubbles stop, what I will do is release the vacuum, and then the resin will get sucked into the void where the air was. I don't know how long it's going to take to suck all the air out, though. It's got a lot of air in it. So, all right, for the most part, the bubbles have stopped. So let me turn off the vacuum pump.
So we will let this sit for probably, well, it was in the vacuum chamber for about 3 hours. So we will let it sit for about 6 to 8 hours, and then we will pull it out and back into the toaster oven. All right, so it doesn't look like the wood has absorbed any more resin. So what I'm going to do is preheat the oven to somewhere between 175 and 200 degrees. Take this out and then put it in the oven. These have been in here for about 5 hours at 200 degrees. So they're gonna be warm. Let's see what we got here. Oh yeah, they're a lot heavier. They're gonna be solid as a rock now, but see this crack and some of these voids, they still need to be filled. So I'm gonna mix up some resin, try to make it maroonish, and I'll show you how that works in a minute. All right, so what I've got here, I've weighed out my 2-part epoxy and I'm mixing it together. I'm gonna pour it into this mold here in a second. And so here's some red dye. I'm gonna try to make it maroon. So here goes some red. It should be more than enough of red. Let's see how this does. Yeah, that's definitely red. Now, what I have found to make it a bit more maroon is I can add some charcoal type Pearl-Ex powder to it. So this is carbon black. We can add a little bit of this. Mix that up and see how that goes. Let's take a look here. Pour this in here. Okay. And we will place this down in here. We'll place this second one down in here. And then we will fill it the rest of the way up. And then we put it in what's called a pressure pot. And the pressure pot basically eliminates all of the any bubbles, if you will. So that's full. Trying to do this with one hand is fun. This will go on my little rack that I made. All right, it's in the pressure pot. The metal's holding the pieces down. So I've got the lid on. Just making sure that I've got it cranked down quite a bit. And we will take our air hose and we'll pressure this up to 50 psi or so. All right, it's been in there for, I don't know, a couple hours. So let's release some pressure and take a look at it. All right, well, here it is. Let's see what we got. Knock that off. Hang on. That's pretty maroon. Let me unscrew this and take it out of the mold. All right, so we've pulled it out of the mold and snapped that off. So here's where we are. So I've cut the two out of the mold, and I put a piece of dowel rod in the hole, just a little short piece so that I can re-drill the holes. I know where they are. So let's do that and see what happens. The original hole was 3/8, but the hole needs to be 27/64, and so it's going to chase out the hole here. Let's see how that did. Yeah, beautiful. Went right. So what I usually do is use a thick CA glue to put the pen tubes inside the blanks, but given that this is, I only get one chance with this, I'm going to use a 2-part epoxy. And we'll mix this up. So this should also fill any voids on the inside where I drilled the hole, inside where the hole is, just in case there is any wormholes or anything like that in there. And then all right, so that's that. All right, there's a couple of different ways this could go. Good or not good. So let's see what happens. So far, so good. Looking nice so far. Worried about that, but it should be okay. We'll see what happens. Got a little bit of a blowout right there. I think I can fix that though. Well, I can fix that. It's not a problem, but I'm going with the sander now. All right, time for the finish. So let's use a little denatured alcohol to kind of clean it all up. Let that dry. Now the finish we use, believe it or not, is super glue. There's different thicknesses of super glue, thin, medium, and thick. We're gonna start off with a coat of thin here. And then if you'll watch, this will smoke here real quick when it starts to dry. See it smoking? That's the boiling process. So you don't want your finger to be in contact with that. And this is what it's looking like. Ooh, that's pretty. Show you where we are with it. So I'm gonna let that dry a little bit. And then I will take a piece of 600. Just touch it a bit here. And we'll put some more denatured alcohol on it to clean it. And we'll go with another coat of thin. This process goes on for a long time. A little more denatured alcohol. Go with another coat of thin. See how it's feeling. All right, so now we begin the wet sanding process. What I've got here are several grits of sandpaper, these pads. We're going to wet sand it, and so we want to get this nice and wet. And as we go down, or in a coarseness of the paper, will really make this thing shine really nicely. There's the first bit. This is kind of boring, but you get the idea. All right, that's beautifully smooth. I hate that, but again, there's nothing I can do. It's just where a worm got into it. There's no way I could figure that out at the time when I was selecting the wood. So what we're going to use now is some plastic polish. But again, that little bad spot helps tell the story. And so that's plastic polish. And now what we're going to use, believe it or not, is some Brazilian Carnauba car wax. Really rub that in. And now we'll spin it up. We'll use this towel right here to polish it. Oh boy, look at that. That looks nice. Like shining shoes. Oh, that's pretty. Yeah, that's nice. All right. So I'm going to repeat the process on the other one, and then we'll put them together. All right, so now is the time for assembly. Got 2 kits right here. I picked some pretty nice kits. So what we do is we're going to press this into here and press this into here. I like to do them one at a time. So you gotta be very careful that you keep this thing aligned. Ugh. So it doesn't get screwed up. So there's one. And here comes 2. So that goes like that. And then the spring actually goes on the top. So the spring goes inside of this piece. And then this piece screws down onto here. Like so. Another thing about this, it's magnetic, so watch. It's got a little magnetic catch on it. And then this posts to the other end for when you're riding. And then when you're done riding, post that way. So the magnet's a nice little feature. So there's the first one. And let's do the second one. Here are the 2. Side by side. Very pretty. Anyway, hope you like them.